Warning, this video contains a parody song with profanity. Productions.
Oddworld ABE'S Oddysee on PlayStation dominated the gaming market during the 1997 holiday season. So much so that its publisher GT Interactive urged developer Oddworld Inhabitants to throw together a sequel for Christmas of '98.
That meant a few things. The game had to be made within only 9 months.
That also meant that the planned second part of the Oddworld quintology would have to be put on hold because it would need a much longer development cycle. They considered making this project a bonus game instead, running on the same engine as ABE'S Oddysee. Like a miracle, they hit the deadline and thus gifted the world Oddworld ABE'S EXODDUS in November of '98.
As a big fan of the original, I was beyond excited when my dad bought Exodus about a year later.
Whereas I didn't get very far on my own in Oddysee back in the day, this time I got further and, much to my surprise, actually beat it.
I haven't played it in a decade, but in my memory it's one of the finest outings on the PlayStation. My dad, my brother and I loved it and often played together. I'm beyond thrilled to give it another go after all this time. Can ABE'S EXODDUS hold up to my high expectations over 25 years after its release?
Hi, Bumblebee.
GFrom, the gamer, the legend, he's come to show you the way in this world of games. GFrom Reviews.
Before we start the adventure, we have the option to watch a funny summary of the events of the first game. I highly suggest giving it a watch, even if you know what happened.
But some people didn't care about doing the right thing.
Hello.
Or you could watch my review, your choice. So the story starts with... Wait a minute, 3 fingers? Didn't they have 4 in the original? You see, this was changed due to certain Japanese pressure groups being offended by Mudokons working in a meatpacking factory and having 4 fingers. Here's a video of me quoting Wikipedia in 2011.
Certain Japanese pressure groups were offended by the Mudokons having 4 fingers and most of them working in a meatpacking factory due to a historic Japanese subclass of meatpackers who were looked down upon society. 4 fingers, or showing 4 fingers to another person, came to insinuate the other was a member of the subclass because it had become symbolic of the meatpackers who frequently had work-related accidents. Oddworld Inhabitants had to alter the design of the Mudokons to having only 3 fingers or else face legal battles and large fines. What the f***?
So it's like you only have 4 fingers? Well, f*** you, we don't want you here. Unless you pay us a shitload of money. F***ing ass makes no sense at all.
Bro, calm down.
It really doesn't change anything, and honestly, I don't care about this change at all by this point. Hooray for growing up!
Anyway, with a gorgeous 4-minute intro, our story is rolling. Long ago, the Mudokons brought their dead to Necrum. Meanwhile, the nefarious Gluckons used blind Mudokons to steal their bones. Nobody knew about this until the spirits of these bones visited Abe after once again smashing his head. Abe takes a few of his buddies to search for Necrum. Their patience wears thin. Should they give up? Suddenly a bone falls off a passing sky train, like a cosmic sign leading them to Necrum Mines.
We're not supposed to be here.
We're not supposed to be here. Classic line.
Clumsy Abe trips and gets separated by the group. This is where the game begins.
Something smells.
Just like in the OG Oddworld, the very first screen holds a secret. Press down here to get to... a flying Slig? Yep, now they've got propellers and they chuck grenades. Joy! One of my biggest criticisms in Oddysee was that we can only talk to one Mudokon at a time. Now Abe finally can talk to several guys at once, like a chatterbox. That is such a major upgrade, you can't believe it. It saves precious time as we don't have to constantly run back and forth just to lead a group to a bird portal. This feature comes with a price because 300 freaking Mudokons need saving as opposed to the 99 we rescued last time.
I've never actually saved the whole population, so this time I'm making it my mission to become the ultimate hero.
This first secret is tough. Pulling this switch turns off the electricity for a second. The 3 enslaved comrades don't start running at the same time, so it's better to lead them through one by one in this case. Pretty stressful with a flying Slig on our ass. Eventually we arrive at valves and the guys conveniently stop in front of them. Abe's game speak has evolved. Gone is the whistling. Instead you can tell people to... Only when all 3 valves are turned at the same time will the well activate. On with the main route. Soon we learned that Mudokons can show emotions in this game. This dude, for example, gets wet and is utterly pissed about it. We can slap his face, but that only makes him fight back. Instead, tell him,
Sorry. Okay.
that's all it takes to turn his mood around. A little compassion. I wish it was that easy in real life. Laughing gas makes them go crazy. They run after Abe, don't listen to anything he says, and can't stop laughing their asses off. It's quite hilarious.
Sorry.
This is where the mighty slap brings the solution. Just smack some sense into them. Learn to quick save here. Are you for real? Yes, it's true. Oddworld Inhabitants listened to the fans and included a quick save feature. This saves our exact position.
Gone is the awful checkpoint system of the past. It's a massive game changer. From now on, when I have to repeat large sections, it's my own fault. So yes, I have to harbor that shame, but at least it's a fair shame. Don't forget to quick save constantly.
Permanent saving has also been improved. No longer are we forced to erase our previous save file to make room for a new one. Here we can just overwrite the old slot. Such a simple yet time-saving change. As before, Abe can possess Sligs by chanting. By pulling this switch we can teleport between gates. Sligs do and say the same things as before. New day, same Slig. With one exception. When in the background we can now shoot at stuff in the foreground. This is how we get rid of the other Slig bothering the hard-working slave. Near the end of Tunnel 1 we regroup with our buddies from the opening cinematic. After turning 6 valves, a cutscene plays. They find a SoulStorm Brew vending machine. Abe tries to stop them from drinking the stuff, but they won't listen and get wasted instead. Well, turns out it's made of their own bones.
Definitely not worth the protein.
This is bad. What do I do now?
Our hero then tells a guy to follow him, but he didn't realize he was blind, so...
But... Oops. I forgot he was blind.
A flying Slig chases Abe away. In Tunnel 2 we get to a secret by doing a leap of faith. Only the bravest, or dumbest, will see it. So we get to possess a flying Slig for the first time. It's so much fun. I find it a bit tricky to be precise because they bounce off of walls. Love the noises they make though. They're our friends. They're sick and unresponsive. It turns out we need to complete the quests of the Mudokon spirits to heal them. Yeah, that'll take a while. In the boiler access we get tailed by slogs and... mini slogs? Oh my god, they're adorable! In an ugly, grotesque way. They're slowpokes and are easily jumped over. Here we just need to lure them into an electrical trap. Buzz buzz. Tunnel 3 reintroduces rocks that need to be thrown at mines. New, however, are blind Mudokons, which you can spot by their grey skin color. We need to be more careful with them since they obviously can't see gaps and traps. Never forget to tell them to wait or your guilty conscience will haunt you forever. I guess reload it is. This is another case where it's better to guide them one by one. It's getting a bit much with the rocks and mines near the end of the tunnel. It's exhausting, but the drill injects a dose of much needed tension to this scene. The 4th tunnel is quick and just has us lead a blind one past drills we shot off first. Tunnel 5 offers more blind people and even more drills. Behold, not 1 but 2 secret areas here. Really easy to miss. Only a fool or a murderer would pull this lever. I might be a fool sometimes, but not today. In Tunnel 6, the motion sensors return. Getting past them requires patience, but the reward is oh so sweet. Let me introduce the almighty mine car. This son of a gun blows up and smashes everything in its path. BAM! It can roll on walls and ceilings. There's also a button for dropping down. He didn't see that coming. We can't just blast through everything as there are more guys of the visually impaired kind that need our help. Jesus Christ, have you no morals, man? The last tunnel has us on a Slig killing spree and gives us another minecart to toy around with. Then we return to the boiler access, but this time from the other side. Here Abe needs to turn 3 valves without getting spotted by the flying Slig. Under a time limit of 14 seconds, we escape from the mines and poor Abe should probably go see a neurologist. Necrum Mines is an excellent start to the game. I love the setting with the dark blue background. It introduces new and old mechanics without needing a tutorial. By the way, you can always go deeper into the lore by watching the demos. But I think everything is explained well enough through text in the background. The difficulty is a step down from Oddysee's Rupture Farms level, I think, but some of the secret areas could be tough for newbies. Heck, even I had trouble at first. I'm so looking forward to the next level. Necrum, the Mudanchee burial ground, takes us outside in some sort of forest or jungle. You still get a sense that you're near the industrial setting from before. The first secret even takes you back there. It took me quite a few tries to get past the first 3 Sligs shooting from the distance. Oh boy, the homies are about to get smushed. Think fast! Phew.
This was the only wrinkle in an otherwise calm chapter.
It consists of harmless platforming and reading directories to get more info about this place and its lore. In fact, it's mandatory to read all 4 in order for the door to open. There's a bird portal that leads us back to our sick friends, but there's nothing we can do for them yet.
Did I say this chapter is mostly calm? Scratch that! Have you seen the fleeches yet?
These green leech-like bastards will haunt your dreams. Oozy dreams. Here they're asleep, but stepping on the little slurgs wakes them up. Sneaking is mandatory, but the slurgs are hard to see with the foreground in the way. Fleeches lash out with their disgustingly long tongues. I managed to escape this time. The goal here is to slap ghost traps to free the spirits. This also opens doors. The slurgs are so damn slow and it's testing my patience to wait for them to move. And you know how much I love patience. Damn, whatever. Fleeches also wake up when you pull a lever directly above or below them. It's a matter of strategy. Some ghost traps have green rings that give us invisibility after chanting. It's only for a snippet, but you can always go back to the screen with the trap to regain the power. It's not completely impossible to get past all these creatures without it, but it just makes it a hell of a lot easier. As fate would have it, I didn't die a single time. That's a relief because I remember how hard it was for me as a kid. I think my dad might have had to take over at some point, I'm not sure. So we arrive at the Mudanchee tribal vaults. Similar to the first game, the next 2 chapters focus on pyramids and scraps. We get to choose where we want to go first.
As I started with pyramids last time, I'm going to visit the scraps first today.
Before that, there's one last secret to check off the list. This one pissed me off. I died 20 goddamn times on the same screen. There are 2 Sligs, one at the top and one sleeping on the bottom. They're to blame for my double-digit doom. I need to get to that switch without being spotted and I couldn't figure out the timing. They got me every time. Eventually I made it and reached the screen with this weird thing. What is it? We don't get an explanation for quite some time, but let's just say that you shouldn't get caught by the motion detector. Or you could lure it to walk into the mine, but that's tricky to pull off. These 2 Mudanchees have fallen into despair, understandably so. Just say,
Sorry.
and all their worries vanish. They're such simple creatures. All in all, Necrum gives us both time to breathe for a moment and also introduces new monsters for never before seen challenges. Visually, it's the most appealing stage in the series for me. I just absolutely love the artwork and use of yellow and orange colors. An absolute highlight for sure. The Mudanchee Vault is protected by scraps and similar to Scrabania, it's dominated by pink scenery like a candy mountain. In Oddysee you could only possess Sligs. For the first time, this is where Abe can also control scraps. This is amazing. They even have their own very basic game speak. Plus with the displayed button combinations you get shred power.
Spoiler alert. It shreds.
They don't die when we leave their bodies, however, so often we'll use invisibility to get by them. But boy, is it fun to kill these annoying green worms. Yep, they're back and won't leave anytime soon. Floor pads open and close barriers. Make strategic use of them by trapping scraps, for example. A secret brings us to the SoulStorm kennels, but this room isn't as rough as it may seem at first. What I loved the most about Oddysee were the hub areas in Paramonia and Scrabania. They're back, baby. 6 doors that we can play in our preferred order. Let's go. The first one I picked was one of the most agonizing. First some fleeches that need to be tricked. Then there's a secret area after a scrap chase. Oh boy, what am I supposed to do here? Not this. Ah, shit, I forgot to quick save. Yep, that means I have to repeat the entire thing. It's not that much, but really unnecessary. Took me a second to realize I had to possess the scrap and move it into the crate and then get Abe to the lever fast as hell to trap it behind a barrier. All while 2 drills are about to kill my 2 slave pals. Then there's 2 more. Hurry! Ah, damn, now everyone's depressed. Might as well join the pity party and give up. This took some trial and error. Door 2 also had a secret.
Up until now I avoided becoming fleech food.
Freaking brutal.
I had a good run.
But I have to face them or else they'll devour my friends. They don't deserve that. Eventually I was able to electrocute them.
Oh yeah. Bumblebee. Okay.
Wow, that's a deep voice. Don't go on a Belgian talk show, bro. Behind door number 3, we take advantage of the pure hatred scraps inflict upon each other. I should bring popcorn next time. Or scrap cakes. This one turned out to take the longest as it has multiple sections that make us run. To be honest, it only took me so long because I failed to realize which well I had to jump into to escape. Classic GFrom brain fog. In contrast to that, door number 4 only took me 2 minutes. It was pretty much just constant sprinting and slapping traps. My greatest hobby. Door 5 gave me sweet revenge. After that came a puzzle that had me run around like a fool. Maybe I did it wrong, but I thought this one was pretty boring and irritating. Finally, door 6 offered more fleech and scrab action that was over fairly quickly. In Oddworld tradition, a chase sequence follows after the hub. As usual, it's a test of reflexes and quick thinking. Not only are there scrabs and fleeches, but later also slogs and sligs. We're even back to slaughtering hordes of ugly dogs. Strangely satisfying. At the end, we save 5 Mudokons and leave the Mudanchee Vault. This whole chapter is excellent. The challenge of dealing with a mix of these two species feels rewarding, and the puzzles are mostly great fun. It's rather action-oriented with often not much time to think. Overwhelming? Maybe, but that's part of the charm. You know I'm a fan of mostly Mudokon-less settings, so for that reason alone, it's a winner. The chase at the end ties it all up. A fulfilling finish, for sure. Back in Necrum, we make a beeline for the Mudomo Vault, which is swarming with paramites. It's the same rules as last time. 1 can be fun, 2, you better run. Thankfully, they can also be possessed. Contrary to scraps, they're useful for more things than just bloodshed. They eat slurks, pull rings, and jump on webs. They're a jack of all trades. That means they get to places Abe can't reach. Their game speak is more sophisticated too. You can tell another paramite to follow you, attack, or perform an action. As they just make clicking noises, it can be difficult to remember what the commands mean.
Good thing there's a GameSpeak flyer included with my game.
Not that I needed it this time, but back then it sure came in handy. You can already tell this chapter leans more on puzzle solving than straight action. Danger awaits though, don't you worry. Especially because the fleeches also somehow made it here. They're a pest, but apparently delicious. They also like pieces of meat which can be thrown to distract them. In case we don't have meat in our pockets, the invisibility power-up returns occasionally. So yeah, slap them ghost traps. Show them who's boss. 6 more doors, so let's not waste any time. I managed to pick the hardest path first. Yep, another secret almost ruined my day. There's a rabid Mudokon who messes around with the drills. So we somehow have to make it past all of them while also dealing with 4 freaking fleeches. Oh, the misery. They either get me or my homies, or I run into a drill. The trick is to make them drop onto the drills, but that's easier said than done. On my 14th attempt, I made it out alive. Barely. Invisibility gets you the rest of the way without much effort. Door 2 makes us run a lot, but the curious players will find one more secret. This one's cool because we command other paramites to protect Mudokons from getting crushed by rocks. The third door focuses on paramite parkour, jumping on webs and avoiding rocks. Door 4 is super short. Trap some fleeches and throw meat. Just a regular Sunday. For some reason door 5 has lingered in my memory after all these years. As a paramite we have a nice meal and waltz through the entire level and pull rings so that Abe can get to the ghost trap. In the final door we make strategic use of the floor pads to separate ourselves from the curious monsters. With the exception of the first secret, this entire thing was a breeze and most doors were pretty short. This went by much quicker than the Scrab Hub. We're not done yet because of course there's another chase coming up. This time however they don't let us check out the area first. It's head first into the action. I only died once and thought it was a simple yet fair challenge. But those visuals, man, it's gorgeous. This is art. And thus the Mudomo Vault is completed. Not only is it one of the best looking parts of the PS1 Oddworld games in my opinion, but I get so much fulfillment from playing it. I love the puzzle aspects the paramites bring with them, and it's a mostly relaxing time. Compared to the previous vault anyway. Abe returns to Necrum and the spirits speak to him. They want him to shut down SoulStorm Brewery, so they give him a special power. We see that the Gluckons gave their brew away for free. The Mudokons got hooked on it however, and they were told that they could have all the brew they wanted if they worked for them.
Ah, come on. Do it. Step right up. Oh, I love his job.
Man, this makes me so angry. It's just wrong. You'll pay for this. You'll all pay!
Alright, here, drink this.
What is it?
Shut up and drink it.
No.
I said drink it, man.
The hell? The hell you trying to do?
Get cheap labor.
Hey yo, help blind people, the sick who drank brew. Help the depressed, sad, wired and angry too. Save Abe the Mudokons crew.
G from Jesus, that's a few.
Aw yeah, G-Dog, if only Gluckons knew.
But what?
I will kill them, G-Dog, they're on alert. Aw, the big bag Gluckon just got a little hurt. That's concerning, bro. Oh dog, is that so? So you'll be stopping me, yeah? I doubt it though. Little softy, what's wrong? Thought it was just for show? When you gonna realize that we fucking need this violence?
Stop it. Sorry. Okay.
Back in Necrum Mines, Abe uses his new power to heal his friends. They just fart their sickness out. Amazing. And smart. Together they turn the valves and jump into freedom. Let's make our way to FeeCo Depot. Disc 2? Yes, you're seeing correctly. ABE'S EXODDUS is so big that it came with 2 CDs.
As a kid, this was mind-blowing to me, like it genuinely impressed me.
The only other game with more than 1 disc we had at the time was the X-Files, and that came with 4 discs. By swapping in the second disc, we've officially arrived at the second half of the game. We see 3 important looking Gluckons discussing the Abe situation. Meanwhile, he arrives at FeeCo Depot. It's back to industrial settings in all their metal glory. In Oddworld tradition, a new CD means there's a secret on the first screen. But that one wasn't a biggie. Just steady your course and use the shadows. New here are TV monitors that show news clips. These are genuinely hilarious. It's mostly propaganda against Abe.
The Magog on the march. News you need. Our main story. To prevent the renegade terrorist Mudokon known as Abe from possibly destroying SoulStorm Brewery, the main security gates can only be opened by direct order of high-ranking executives General Drippick, Vice President Slig, and Director Fleg. If you have any further questions, please feel free to pull the lever to your right.
Okay, will do. Whoa, what an asshole! This next feature is a love letter to that specific audience that not only loves fart jokes, but embraces them. Check this out. If you fart after drinking brew from a vending machine, a countdown starts. And then, boom! Exploding farts. I don't know what to say, it's Wario level. There's more. I kid you not, you can chant and freaking possess the fart too. I'm playing a goddamn fart. I'm flying around like it's the most natural thing in the world. And then I explode.
I think I just found the meaning of life.
We can't fly around forever though. After a certain amount of time, a countdown will start. It's enough time to handle business. How depressing must it be to be farted to death? Almost feel sorry for the Sligs. Whenever there's a sign that says no farts, you lose your gas. There are rules, you know. Terminal 2 lets you play around more with this mechanic. We arrive at the main lobby. This is the main hub for the remainder of the game and we'll return here a few more times. I guess before the events of the previous game you could get to Rupture Farms from here. Now there are 4 terminals left, half of them closed for now. This is where we learn that the tin cans are called greeters. Jokers would have been a more appropriate name, but I guess DC Comics would object to that idea. Before we can scale the upper floors, we have to get rid of mines. There's only one way. At this point we can either go to Slig Barracks or Bonewerkz. It doesn't really matter which we pick first. I'm going with Slig Barracks. But first we burst through the door that says employees only. The only thing we do here is to pull a lever which lets us move on to the barracks. Yeah, so by entering the door that says Slig Barracks, we have to make it to the train first. As you would expect, it's wall to wall with these bastards. If it wasn't for invisibility, success would be a pipe dream. This is where the Slig voice lock returns. Just repeat everything to forge ahead. Then we take the train. This is Slig Barracks, huh? Not very inviting. Looks like a war zone. Block 0 has us sneak past a bunch of Sligs without blowing our cover. Patience is of the essence, but eventually we seize control of a helicopter dude and blow his co-workers to smithereens. Again we get several doors we can go through in our preferred order, 4 to be exact. This time they're all labeled to help you navigate the barracks.
The Magog on the march. News you can't abuse. General Drippick declares martial law. No mamby-pamby Mudokon meat puppet is gonna make me look like a fool. We'll have that traitor Abe in no time. Or my name ain't,
Terrific, sir.
Terrific. I knew that. I did, I knew that. Brought to you by Mullock's Mouth-Lube. Say it, don't spray it.
I guess we're doing this in order. Block 1 is the rifle range. You probably guessed it, the Sligs in the background are about to use poor Abe for target practice. Make it quick, but stop at the right moment. Usually a pushover, except when your slow-ass friends do a lousy job of dodging bullets. Then comes Block 2, the Mudanchee Workers Campus. This one's riddled with mines. How the hell am I supposed to get my buddy out of here? Confidence. Go to the edge of the screen, tell him, and immediately leave. The game ignores the mines and he gets through unscathed. This works with the drills too, by the way. Just a little life hack for you. The reason this part took longer than I expected is because of another secret area. This part is tricky. Jump between platforms and avoid mines, all without being caught. I was too impatient and messed it up on loop. My timing was off here too, costing precious lives. All that suffering paid off in the end. By releasing 3 comrades to safety, the mightiest of powers make a triumphant return. Aw yeah, make way for the... Shriekle? It blows shit up, that's all you gotta know. Block 3 is the Slig bunks. Here it's the first time we see Sligs without pants. They're completely defenseless. That gives new meaning to the phrase caught with your pants down. However, they can get pants at the Getcha Pants vending machines, machine guns included. I'll just electrocute them before that happens. Those poor, helpless, evil, disgusting little brats. There's also vending machines for wings. The premise of this part is that we need to turn 4 valves that open suits A to D. So it's doors within doors. Doorception. A and B are connected but separated by walls. By that I mean we can take a sneak peek from A to B and vice versa. Same goes for C and D, if I somehow made it that far. On this part I died like 7 times. I'm trying to get that bomb, but either the Slig on the left gets me or the one on the next screen hears me when I run over there. If you somehow manage to stop running at the exact right moment, you'll survive. When in control of a pantless Slig we can open certain doors, but this rarely happens. In Block 4 we get to the trophy room and bombing range. By the way, I love these rules and regulations. They're fun to read. This sticks out in my memory. It took me ages to win. It involves flying Sligs and wired Mudokons. Sounds like a great combination? Well, joke's on you, because it isn't. If you're doing it correctly, they shouldn't meet each other, so there's that. The secret is deceptively frustrating. Guide helicopter man through a maze while being chased by mines. It's rather straightforward, but due to the slick bumping of walls, it gets more tricky than it should to get around corners. Like I lose momentum and get blown to pieces. 10 deaths later, with all 4 doors checked off, we finally make it to the war room, which is the headquarters of General Drippik. And this marks an Oddworld premiere. Yes, we get to control Gluckons. None other than Drippik himself. His game speak is similar to Abe's, and he also talks to voice logs which usually teleport him or open doors. Gluckons command Sligs and they're just as dumb as slaves or slogs. They blindly walk into mines and stuff. By screaming for help, another one shows up. The way Gluckons jump cracks me up, and you even get this silly sound when they walk.
I can't take them seriously, but you're not supposed to anyway.
At the end he uses the security phone to open the main gate and then he explodes. Thus ends his regal legacy. Should we have failed during any of this, Abe would have been gassed within 5 seconds, but that didn't happen. I just somehow have to make it past the greeters. We find 8 more slaves, fart and laugh together, and return to FeeCo Depot. Slig Barracks feels like a step up challenge-wise, but it's balanced enough to save you from anything miserable. I know they're in the name of the place, but maybe there were a few too many Sligs for my taste. Back in the main lobby we make our way to Bonewerkz. Problem is that all the mines are back. It feels like a time suck to blow them away again. It's only a matter of 2 minutes before we get to see something new, so I'm not bent out of shape. On our way to the train we get a glimpse of what Bonewerkz will focus on. Slogs. And Sligs. Can't forget about them. There's even a sneaky secret here. Who in their right mind would try to get down here? In addition to running away from hordes of slogs, we also need to help the blind. Abe's such a good guy. A train ride and a dazzling cutscene later, we finally arrive at Bonewerkz. By the way, why is it spelled Bonewerkz with an S on the save file?
They should have hired me as a spell checker.
Visually, it's also leaning more on the yellow side, but there's more brick structures here, giving me the feeling that things are about to fall apart.
Magog on the March. News you can use. Director Slig reports bone production down. Ow!
It ain't my fault! It's that Abe guy! First Rupture Farms, now Necrum Mines! There ain't no bones anywhere! No bones, no brew! I am totally screwed! My career is over! And it's all that blue bastard's fault!
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Brought to you by Scrap Cakes. They'll cost you an arm and a leg.
This time we need to get from Annex 1 through 8 in a straight order, plain and Jane. Their length varies wildly. The first one is annoying with all the teleporting doors and pressure pads and whatnot. Even Slurgs return with the sole purpose to be stepped on by yours truly and wake up slogs.
Alarm!
Annex 2 isn't even a minute long. It's literally a chase sequence over only 2 screens. I failed to see the point. The third one also clocks in at under 60 seconds. That's too bad because it heralds the return of the almighty mine car. Bam, bitches, out of my way.
I needed that.
Annex 4 is a little longer, but not even 2 minutes. Possess a Slig and shut off the power. The fifth one is also just 2 screens, but it got me. Abe has to jump over mines with a flying slime ball in hot pursuit. With some trial and error, I pulled it off. Annex 6 focuses on shadows and stealth, except for the end. Only meat will protect you from this many dogs. Okay, up until this point it has been fairly fast paced, but then comes Annex 7, a sequence that gave me night sweats at a young age. This entire part is played with Abe in the distance, working his way through several large screens filled with traps, mainly falling crates. It's so loud and gets distressing after a while. There's also a secret with many drills, but it's not as difficult as it looks menacing. Anyway, the goal is to get 5 Mudankans at once through the bird portal. It's not very hard to do, but time consuming. Imagine my outcry when I finally made it, only to foolishly get smashed by a crate. Of course I forgot to quick save, so I had to do this whole thing again, secret included. Blame the brain fog yet again. Not even the amazing shriekle explosion orgy could cure my low state. Finally, Annex 8 has multiple doors with valves that need Abe's magic touch. Let me just state the obvious. This is a freaking massacre. Disgustingly gory. Oh look, a secret! The price of discovery. Later we arrive at the executive office and take control over Director Fleg. This time we order Sligs to kill slogs. Screaming over and over is oddly satisfying. The thing is that you have to yell it constantly or the Slig will stop shooting. Just know when to stop or you'll get shot yourself. I mean, what kind of messed up situation is this? Drills from above and the front plus a million slogs? And there's 4 of these sections. Talk about overkill. Leaving a trail of blood behind, Fleg orders the main gates to open and joins his splattered pets. It isn't over yet. Look at all these drills, man. How? God, I've seen so much death, it's making me sick. It's such a relief to save the remaining 9 guys and put an end to this dark chapter. Bonewerkz is a little shorter than Slig Barracks and maybe not as memorable. I did enjoy most of the challenges, maybe with the exception of Annex 7. Honestly, I'm ready for some new sights though. For the 3rd time we're exploring the FeeCo Depot, and by now the FeeCo Executive Office is open.
The Magog on the March. News you won't lose. Vice President Slig addresses Mudanchee workers.
Those stinking slaves! I mean, my fellow employees. Uncle Slig's been taking good care of you, right? I love all of you like you was my own, right? But if we don't catch this Abe guy, it's the brew vats for all of you! Now, what are you waiting for? Get back to work!
Message brought to you by SoulStorm Brewery. Our spew is your brew.
All that stands in our way is an army of guards and a nasty propeller guy. I've never been this happy about baggage claim though. Without invisibility there would be no way forward, so I'm grateful for the kind spirits. Before we take control over Vice President Slig, nice name by the way, Abe has to get past the last few guards, which I couldn't pull off at first. No matter what I did, I got shot in the back. That hurts. I eventually pulled it off, but I'm not entirely sure what I did differently. It's probably a matter of milliseconds. As Slig, we demand more Slig on Slig action, but to my dismay, this segment is much shorter than the other two. He also orders to disarm the main gates and dies right after. One less boss to worry about. At the end, there are 10 Mudokons to save, but I thought the time was ripe to demonstrate what happens when I slap some of them. It's an all-out brawl and they even kill each other. This isn't even funny, and one by one they commit suicide out of sadness. This is so disturbing and made me feel awful. Reload and pretend it never happened. For the last time we're in the main lobby, but before making our way to the now opened SoulStorm Brewery, there's one last secret here. This one's a doozy, but not in a positive way. Where do I start? Our stage is set with 2 Sligs and a drill. I need to pull a switch and a ring. The upper path is out of the question. Believe me, I tried. So we drop down and hide in the shadows. At the right moment we scurry to the next shadow. Get up without being spotted and pull the ring when you set off the trap doors. Again, the timing has to be right or else they'll see us. Finally we can chant and move on. With all Sligs dead, 3 Mudokons have to be guided past the drill. It has to be done one by one, I think. Running seemed to be the solution. I probably just really sucked, but this was by far the hardest part of the game for me.
Just to sink into an even deeper depression, I counted my failures.
14 on the Sligs, 7 at the Mudokons. 21 failures on this one part. Must be some kind of record. I'm so glad to close this chapter. The terminal to SoulStorm Brewery has one major challenge, saving the blind guys. There are greeters and Sligs, but I can deal with that. There's even more flying fart action and helicopter bombings. I'm not trying to be offensive, but leading the blind Mudokons is a true test of patience, especially when there's many. I finally lead all of them to the bird portal... Wait. No, there's one missing. But where is he? Oh, there he is. Crap, I totally forgot about him. How do I get back there? Falling down kills me. I can't get further down with the elevator.
Man, I ran around like an idiot and at some point I had to realize I messed up.
There's no way for me to save this guy. My latest quick save is at a point where I can't return to him.
I'm afraid to even ask. Where was my last permanent save?
Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me. Before I even got to FeeCo Executive Office, I have to do all of that again? The Vice President, that secret I sucked at so bad, and this tedious back and forth with the blind? That's an hour I just wasted. I'm so mad at myself for simply forgetting to chant right here. That's it. That's all there was to do. One simple mistake cost me everything. To my relief, it didn't take me nearly as long to get back here this time. The worst part? After that, there's only the train ride left. I would have saved right after that because all of my permanent saves are at the beginning of chapters.
Now while I'm editing this, I realized that I'm an even bigger idiot than I thought. I completely forgot about the restart path feature. I don't know exactly where that would have put me, but I assume I would have saved a lot of time compared to what I ended up doing. How the hell could I forget this was an option? Whatever, life goes on.
Believe it or not, SoulStorm Brewery is the final chapter. But it's a long one, so we're far from done.
The Magog on the March. News for your blues. Warning, warning. Abe the Mudokon terrorist has infiltrated SoulStorm Brewery. Gluckin department heads explode. Oh, the horror. Even though brew production has plummeted, Mudokon slaves are disappearing left and right, and the toilets are backing up all over the place. Top management reports that everything is gonna be fine. I'm out of here.
Even with 3 bosses down, there are still more Gluckons to possess. Here we need to provoke this guy to yell for help so that we can control his minion. The voice lock conversations become routine from now on. We get to yet another hub area with 4 doors that will eventually unlock a 5th and then a 6th. That means Zulag 1 through 4 can be done in any order.
I like to start at 1. It just feels better.
Angry peers make life harder for Abe, and they clearly don't give a crap about his demise. Why should I save them?
Because I care so much.
This part drags a bit because we need to lure Sligs into mines and tell a billion voice logs to do it. Zulag 2 lets us bomb the shit out of the place. There's a small chase through tubes which finds a satisfying end. The third Zulag has more loud ass buzzy drills that require impeccable timing to get past. Especially this one. I'm getting dizzy. Man, everyone's ticked off here. Nothing kind words can't solve. Abe turns off the drills. Well, most of them. Some continue to drill. It's child's play to get the crew to safety though. Zulag 4 is the longest. It has both laughing gas and greeters, a deadly combination. The only thing that helps here is a machine gun. Oh boy, this is so much fun. The grinning tin cans had it coming. The secret jingle plays here, but I think it's the only way out. That's a lot of slogs, man. Good thing one Slig can command them all. And shoot them all. Except the small ones. They're getting a shocking death. This path leads to the tier extractor. Oh my god. Disturbing. Makes me sick to my stomach. Poor guys. Better help them fast.
I wish.
And now, a waiting game. Wait for both of them to turn around, jump, and wait some more. We get a cutscene that explains that the tears are another ingredient. This is getting out of hand.
I don't need excuses! I need tears! Turn up the gain! Do it!
I'm on it, boss.
Abe releases the 3 prisoners, but they're sick, understandably so. Good thing there's a guy that gives us healing power nearby. So they fart it out and live happily ever after.
Except for eternal mental scars.
Now the door to Zulag 5 is open. It's easy peasy with more angry workers and sneaky shadow gameplay. The 6th door brings us to Hub 2, which has just as many doors. The color's different, pink instead of blue. Man, even in Zulag 6 everyone's pissed. I mean, one of them gets to shower and his reaction is to slap the living daylights out of his colleagues. Man, I have to get there before they kill each other. Abe has to be the most patient dude on Oddworld. They beat the tar out of him and he says sorry to them. What a saint. There are more blind people in Zulag 7. It's getting spicy. Have fun leading them past drills and slogs. It's always good to have meat in your pocket, just in case. The hungry animals also dwell in Zulag 8 and I managed to get killed by a small one. I feel ashamed and the only medicine is death by bomb. I think this is the first time we have to steer a flying Slig past motion sensors. Zulag 9 kicked my ass. The solution on the first screen is to talk to the Mudakin, wait until the Slig turns around again and then continue the conversation. The vertical section consists of 7 floors. For me, it's one of the most dragged out parts of the game. We need farts to blow stuff up, a Gluckin to talk to several voice logs, and there are even 3 more doors to visit. I might be so annoyed by it because it's another instance where I forgot to quick save and had to redo most of it after a stupid death. Then something returns that I didn't expect at this point. Fleeches. God damn it, what am I supposed to do? They either get me or my friends every time. I finally figured it out when I chanted. After an eternity, I made it to Zulag 10. Apparently, only certain Sligs are authorized beyond this point. They're all the same. It doesn't matter, I'll cap these fools. With this door finished, we make it to another hub?
Okay, this is starting to get old a teeny tiny bit.
The dominant color here is turquoise and there aren't as many doors, only 3 and 2 that are locked. The marathon doesn't stop. Zulag 11 is home to more sick dudes that need healing. To make that happen, we first need to fly past snipers, which isn't a challenge. Then comes Zulag 12, where we command slogs to eat a comrade. They'll feast on anything. The tier extractor gets me every time. Gut-wrenching. After 12 comes 14? What happened to 13? Whatever. Here we attempt to lead a bunch of crazy people to safety. The problem is that the floor is lined up with pressure pads which open and close a bunch of doors. Not to mention zap traps. This became a test of patience, but I managed to get through rather quickly. After they're saved, I ran back and discovered a secret. Good thing the Shrikey Shriko takes care of the mines. After 14 comes 13? Am I going in the wrong direction? What's so special about this place? Well, it's another torture chamber. The sneaky part is harder than usual because there are 3 freaking Sligs lurking around. As a Gluckin, we take care of things. No more suffering. The next open door leads us to Zulag 14? Again? Yeah, it's a different point of entry. This one's straightforward and I was on track until all of a sudden a Slig respawned. He was supposed to be dead. The next time he stayed dead, courteously. And thus the final doors opened. For real this time. Zulag 15 is the absolute last stretch of the game. Abe overhears a bunch of hysterical gluckons yabber about the boiler.
What if it gets to the boiler?
The boiler?
The boiler?
What are we going to do?
The boiler!
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Okay, so we absolutely positively turn this wheel and start the timer of 4 minutes. Make it past drills, activate mines, flee from a flying sucker, deactivate mines under drills. I said deactivate mines under drills, save a sad bro, pay attention to the angry fella, say, pay attention to the drill, chant, blow shit up, make it to the final exit and save the 300th employee.
I freaking made it, man.
With 1 minute to spare. Jumping through the portal triggers the final cutscene.
It's not fair. We had twice the flavor.
A French accent? The brewery is history, Abe is lionized as a hero once again and the Mudokons start to build something new. But there are more people suffering out there.
And we were gonna find them.
We interrupt this program to bring you this special news bulletin. Rumor Control reports that Abe, the terrorist mastermind behind the destruction of Rupture Farms, is also behind the SoulStorm Brewery atrocity.
I hate that guy.
Stay tuned for more on this story as it develops.
Okay, so SoulStorm Brewery had some challenging puzzles and overall I enjoyed most of the Zulags.
But I have to admit that I got a little tired of the setting near the end. Maybe 3 hubs were one too many.
The boiler was awesome though and a worthy finale. I like the ending too, the way it inspires hope while also teasing more adventures to come. The reward for rescuing all 300 Mudokons is first of all this screen. What's that talk about the Mudokon mother and Munch? I guess we'll find out another time. Also we get a low-res image of the developers and a bunch of artwork. As in Abe's Oddysee, these drawings are mesmerizing and a true work of art. There's also a sad ending if you rescued less than 50 Mudokons.
Honestly, if you cared that little, you deserved it.
Abe gets knocked out by his fellow Mudokons and the French guy commands the Slig to pump up the tear extractor. Jesus.
What? Oops, sorry, boss.
Holy moly, that was a long adventure. How about we take it easy for a while and talk about the music and sound?
Once again I have to sing my praises to the voice acting. Series creator and most interesting man in the world, Lorne Lanning, provided all of the voices in the first game. Here he does most of them and excellently so. Whether it's Mudokons, Sligs, Gluckons or Abe himself, they're all iconic standout performances.
But once the Mudokons started drinking it, they couldn't stop.
That man sure is talented. Abe doesn't speak in poems this time around. That's one aspect that made Oddysee so magical. Him speaking like a regular person is great too, don't get me wrong. It just feels like an intrinsic part of the experience is missing. The sound effects remain outstanding. Often you hear what's on the next screen and all of the creatures also have their distinct grunts, barks and screams. Some places are a bit too loud for my taste, specifically the drills or falling rocks. It can all stack up and overwhelm my ears sometimes. The music is some of the best you'll hear on the PlayStation. Like its predecessor, it's dynamic, meaning that it for example amps up the tension when an enemy sees you. The beat also changes when you possess someone. Most tracks stay in the background. You won't hear any happy or overly catchy songs a la Sonic here. They're mostly moody and slow, often with sounds of nature or industry mixed in. When you're approaching the boiler, the music sounds like heavy machinery or an assembly line. It captures the essence of the location perfectly. The use of drums in Slig Barracks on the other hand has something militaristic about it, fitting to the patrolling and machine gun wielding name-givers of the place. FeeCo Depot has a sinister feel with its choir sounds and its hypnotic beat. The Mudomo Vaults sounds like something you'd hear at a drum circle, except you add some creepy ass bells on top. Hell's bells. Necrum feels downright menacing and unsettling. There are some more upbeat tracks too. The trials have a beat that keeps you going.
Oops.
The executive office almost feels like a banger. Pump up the jam, man! Once again, this series treats us to an incredible soundtrack that maybe doesn't provide memorable tracks per se, but that doesn't take away from their brilliance.
I'd like to show you my favorites, so here are my top 3 songs from Oddworld ABE'S EXODDUS.
Number 3. The title screen tune is similar to the first, but feels a little more low-key. I love the dreamy nature of it, and it completely nails the mood of this game. Number 2. I don't know about you, but this drum-centric beat manages to stay in my head days after playing. The driving bass moves the track along nicely and gives it a sense of urgency. Number 1. As much as the fleeches stress me out, I can't help but to look forward to their encounters, mostly because of this amazing piece of music. Specifically in the Mudanchee Vaults, it kicks a serious amount of ass.
Let's wrap this up.
Exodus takes everything that was good about Oddysee and polishes it up. The environments look stunning with realistic looking settings and intense colors. I really admire the art style. The CGI cutscenes were mind-blowing at the time, at least to me. They've improved since the first game and it felt like watching a movie. Visually, I prefer the first half. The mines are the perfect setting for a game like this. But everything from Necrum to the 2 vaults is the absolute highlight for me. As much as I dig the industrial chapters, Oddworld shines the brightest in natural settings. It does start to get a little stale at the end when you need some fresh air.
Just so you know, I recorded about 11 hours of gameplay. The brewery alone took about 3 hours.
Basically, the first disc was about 4 hours and the second about 7. Gameplay is great from beginning to end. Sure, there were some puzzles that drove me up a wall. You know how it is. Try until you master it. In Oddysee, I had the feeling that often jumps wouldn't register. That's not the case here. The controls are spot on and I can't blame the game for any of my mistakes. Patience, my friends. Patience. Some scenes are really intense and require quick thinking, but mostly you can take your time with the puzzles. Every beast requires a different strategy and it's fun to try to figure out the best solution. There are so many quality of life improvements. Quick save, anyone? My biggest complaint about Oddysee, eliminated in such a simple way. Only once did this feature bite me in the ass, so it's just as important to do permanent saves every once in a while. Another complaint I had about Abe 1 is that you could only talk to a single Mudakan at a time. Not only is it such a time saver communicating with several dudes at once, but it also feels more natural. I love the addition of emotions and stuff, and it gave me the idea to cover one of the more controversial Eminem songs of 2024 as a joke. The blind Mudakans add more challenge and I feel twice as bad when accidents happen. Plus it's hilarious that some of the guys have their voices pitched up or down. GameSpeak feels way more sophisticated and the fact that Paramites, Scraps and Gluckons have been added to the playable roster is even more impressive. Sure, as a Gluckon your options are limited, but having Sligs do everything for you is kind of amusing. Playing as Paramites might be my personal highlight. Those puzzles are fun to solve. Say what you want about playable floating farts, but as a kid I found this mechanic hilarious to no end. Even today I giggle when Abe lets one go in a crowded room. It's so silly, but sometimes that's just what I need in this world. I just wish there was a little more variety in the enemy department in the second half. Honestly, I can't blame the developers though. What they managed to push out the door in such a short time span is unthinkable. They didn't plan on doing this and still gave us a timeless masterpiece that many consider to be the best game in the series.
I have to admit that to this day I still haven't played Munch's Oddysee or Stranger's Wrath, so I can't speak for the whole series.
But of the games I've played, namely the two PS1 games, Oddworld Adventures on Game Boy, New and Tasty, and SoulStorm, Exodus is without question my true love. SoulStorm is sort of a reimagining of Exodus, but sadly I wasn't that hyped about it. As someone who isn't usually a fanboy of these types of puzzle platformers, ABE'S EXODDUS draws me in with its imaginative world building, a likable main character, fun game mechanics, great music, stunning visuals, and interesting creatures. The only thing it's missing is Elam. Maybe I should have brought honey.
There's a reason my dad, my brother and I got hooked on this game in the late 90s. It's one of the best games of its generation and a true classic that has stood the test of time like few others.
Hey everyone, this is GFrom. Thank you so much for watching the season finale of Season 4. Feel free to rate, comment, subscribe and follow me on social media. I'll see you later. Have a nice day.